You're listening to Mike Adams and Chris Savory, the record collectors from the BBC, between now and 9 tonight.
Well, I'm looking at Mike Sheridan and, of course, the Nightriders, and if I may say so, considering that you travelled through the night from Yarmouth to the middle of Wales, you're looking remarkably good.
Really?
Well, welcome to
Thanks.
Welcome to the programme.
Nice to be here.
Now, we have had questions about your records because you're associated with so many famous people, and in your band there has been so many different members of the band.
Yeah.
Just exactly how many different people have been in your group?
Well, I did a count a couple of weeks ago, and there's actually been 68 people through the band in 30 years.
Right. Obviously, the famous people like Jeff Lynne and Roy Wood and.
Yeah.
Can we start at the very beginning, and your story as such? Because Birmingham.
Yeah.
Right. You're born in.
I was born in Silly-Oak.
Right.
Well, I actually started playing. I learned 3 chords on a piano, and I started playing in a pub called the Maypole Pub, which is over the south side of Birmingham. Just singing and playing, a few rock and roll things. And then I backed this guy who was going to be the next Elvis of the Midlands, and unfortunately he never turned up for the. That's him now, actually. He never actually turned up for the talent contest that he was in, and so I took his place and I sang a couple of songs, and came second, and that sort of gave me the bug to start,
What was your influences then? About that period, what kind of music were you into?
Definitely Gene Vincent, Cliff Richard. Move It to me was it still is one of the greatest rock and roll records British rock and roll records I've ever heard. I don't think I've ever heard one to touch it yet.
Now, you made your first recording for EMI, Columbia. Tell Me What I've Got to Do. Was that it?
Tell Me What You're Going to Do.
On Columbia.
On Columbia.
1950.
No, that was it'll be 1959.
You were on the very first, really. One of the very first. Before then it was up the virtual American groups, and wasn't it?
Well, that's it. That's true. Yeah, we did that. Well, actually, it would be 59, 60. What happened was Norrie Paramore, who was then head of Columbia, came over to Birmingham and signed up anything that moved, and we were lucky enough to be signed to him, and which I couldn't believe quite actually, because it was great to be signed to the same label as Cliff Richard. It was great, and recorded in Abbey Road and everything.
What were your memories? That time we're looking at the very beginning of British rock music as such. Any sort of vivid memories about perhaps of visiting American rock stars and the tours with Cliff and the very early TV shows that you can share with us?
Well, we must have played as support to most of the bands, the big names of the 60s. And people like Little Richard spring to mind. We did a tour with Little Richard and Gene Vincent. Lots of gigs with Gene Vincent, until he was sort of down at the end of his career. He was playing pubs around Brum for 18 quid. I can remember that.
When was that about?
That was just before he sort of he got killed, and just before that.
Yeah. Didn't he have a burst ulcer or something like that in New York?
Ulcerated leg, yeah. And he used to take a lot of drugs to kill the pain. But was always in pain,
Okay, I saw recently a musical called Bebopalula, which was about the legendary Eddie Cochran, Vincent tour, and you worked a lot with Gene and toured with Gene. There's a lot of mystic when people sort of die, and you find that somebody tells something to somebody that tells something to somebody, and often things get distorted, and you never. But people actually work with the people. You were,
I always found Gene Vincent a great bloke. He was a real nice bloke, it was just a myth that was built up. He carried guns and all this, But I never found that, and he was a real nice bloke,
He wasn't the aggressive, mean sort of person.
Never to me. He never came across that way to me. He was just a nice bloke, In fact, he was quite a gentle bloke, Really nice bloke.
Well, often, of course, you find that out, that the people who are hard and mean and tough, actually, they could be if they wanted to be, but they don't have to be.
That's true, yeah.
Let's move on with your career now, and of course, Please Mr. Postman, which was again on Columbia.
Well, that was, of course, a cover of off the Beatles album, when everybody was covering Beatles stuff. We actually got a telegram. We were on a gig and we had the actual used to have telegram boys in. He actually came in with a telegram to be at Abbey Road in a couple of days' time and record Police Mr. Postman. And it was rush released. And because we thought, well, I mean, this is it, we're going to make it, you know. 'Cause
you met the Beatles, of course.
yes, I played with them. In actual fact, we topped a bill over the Beatles at the Plaza in Old Hill in Birmingham. And we were top. Actually, what happened was they got a revolving stage, little story here. And the Beatles went round the one way playing Twist and Shout going off, and we came round the other side playing. And as we came round, the place emptied. I mean, it was just like little cups and pieces of paper floating about with a rush. It was just emptied, you know. We were just playing at nobody.
Now, I think it's about time I played one of the tracks from Mike Sheridan and Nightriders. So we're going to a piece of music now, and we'll continue with your career, Beatle era and onwards, and of course moving on to the Idol race. So here we have Mike Sheridan and the Nightriders. So now we had a sample of your music. Let's look at, if we can move forward a little bit, to your career with EMI. When did that terminate?
66.
Take My Hand, was that last one?
No, the last song was Don't Turn Your Back on Me. It was a Jackie D. Shannon song, produced by the bloke who became Hurricane Smith. And we thought, I mean, he said to us, if this is not number one, I'll eat my hat. And we came out of there thinking we cracked it. I mean, it was a good song and it was well produced. And we thought we'd actually cracked it with that one. And it got one radio play, just one radio play.
Why do you think that was? I mean, nowadays there is an opportunity because there's a lot of competition now. Well, why do you think then it was so difficult to get airplay?
I don't know. I still think it is now. We had a lot of trouble with distribution. I mean, you could have
even with EMI.
Yeah, you could have a record out, and if you could go in a shop and ask for it, and they'd never got it or anything like that. You know, I mean, we can order it or something like that. They'd never got it, and I mean I think that still carries today. You know, for new bands coming out today, there's just no distribution. There's always a hang up there somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the common things we've actually heard on the programme about distribution, and particularly for the smaller labels, getting people say, I want these records, but we can't get to them.
That's right.
But I would say there has been an improvement, but I would think there is a problem there still.
Yeah,
but you surprised me that period, because, EMI, they walked water in those days. EMI said record went out. But getting airplay was very much controlled by Radio Luxembourg, the BBC, and there really wasn't much alternative to that. Caroline. How about Caroline? Did you get any airplays off Caroline or the Parrots?
Never actually heard I only ever heard the last record we made. I only ever heard it once, and because it all relies on that. If you don't get any airplays, there's no demand, and it's the old ever increasing circle as it was.
Let's talk about now Roy Wood, because Roy Wood, one would say, arguably the guy who started the move, and behind all the association with Jeff Lynne and the Electric Light Orchestra and all that.
Yeah.
When did Roy join the band?
Roy joined the band in '63. He was with us for 3 years.
Was he as outrageous and so different then, as we've come to know? Because he is a character one seen, never forgotten.
He was always the same. He was always out on his own. As I was telling you earlier, he's one of those guys you would walk away from and stand away from him, because you thought everybody was looking at him. But he was always, a very weird bloke, and always eccentric, really. So, dressed really weird. He had to be different.
Yeah, one could argue, of course, he took music an extra dimension, more into a visual situation. Now we've got videos. He was actually going into other angles a lot sooner than just perhaps being a rock and roll band.
Yeah, his head was full of ideas all the time, non-stop. He just hadn't got enough time to do everything he wanted to do. But of course, he made it with the move, and as you say, Roy formed the move. It actually was Carl Wayne that formed the move. He took the best of all the Birmingham bands, put them together.
He was the motivating force behind putting the band together.
Behind the move, yeah. And of course, Roy was the rising force.
That's probably why people think Roy was, because they got to see the name and the music with Roy and associate that.
Because when Roy was with us, he was writing, but we never used to even think about doing any of his songs. It was always cover jobs for us.
Is there this is a pretty direct question from the hip, though, but do you regret that?
Well, looking back, of course we do, yeah. I mean, you know, we didn't know there was an untapped talent, but I mean, you just don't think of that.
Of the things closest to you, or the harder, you can't see the wood for the trees.
That's true, yeah. We only ever recorded one of Roy's songs, and it was a B-side called Make Them Understand. And it was, I tell you, it was a B-side of Stop, Here I Stand, I think. And we only ever recorded that. It was like a sort of a Tom Jones type of thing, you know.
So this would be, when would that be, 1965?
Yeah, just before he left, yeah.
I'll have a route in my collection, see if I can find that, because
I think it was a B-side of that, I'm not quite sure.
Now we'll move forward a little bit, and we'll talk about the Nightriders and Idle Race, which of course you tell us about how that all came about.
Well, of course, in 1966 Roy left, and when he left I thought the band had lost its whatever it had got, and I decided to leave too. So that left sort of Rod Spencer, Greg Masters, Dave Pritchard, and they recruited a couple of lead guitarists, and then they didn't get on with them, and then they recruited Jeff Lynne, who took over the band, and they were still known as the Nightriders for a time, and then of course they became the Idle Race, and Jeff started writing, and because his distinctive sound, which he still had then, I mean, it was just Jeff Lynne really. The Idle Race was Jeff Lynne. And of course then he had offer from the Move to join them, which started his association with Roy and ELO and all that.
So when did you actually bring you back into the picture now? We're looking at around about 1970 this period, aren't we?
Yes, well I went semi-professional then when Roy left. I started a little group up, and we used to just do the clubs and things. And 1970 I retired out of the game and started a business up, selling spuds actually, and I kept that going for about 4 years, and I didn't play at all. And then I had an offer to make a record again and come out of retirement as it was, and I made a record, a Jeff Lynne song called Follow Me Follow, for Gemini Records. I don't know whether you can get that now.
I've never actually handed
that.
No, I haven't. No.
There's one, you see. Must be worth a few bob now, that one.
I mean, well, of course, the association with all the people that you've been with, virtually everything that you've done is collectible. You probably know that anyway.
Well, yeah, I have actually looked at record collectors and know some of the stuff fetches
a lot of money.
A lot of money, yeah.
Do you have virtually everything you record yourself? Do you have the originals?
I do have the originals, yeah. I've got some acetates as well, which must be worth a few bob.
Have any alternate takes on acetate?
No, because you never got any of that. You see, at Columbia, you only got 3 hours to do an A and a B side, and that was it. If you didn't do it in those 3 hours, and that was it, you know.
Now we're moving forward on now to round about, say, the middle 70s, as it were. Several other groups that you associated with, Tiddlywinks and Circus.
Yeah, well, we had a bash on several names. Tiddlywinks was a 5-piece, just sort of pop band. Circus was a comedy group, which did very well, which had Jerry Levine in. You may remember Jerry Levine, the Avengers, an old Birmingham band. Jerry was in it. And several members of the Idle Race. Dave Pritchard was in it. And they actually, when Jerry and I left that group, followed that group up, and they became Willie and the Poor Boys, which is a band that's became very popular in Brum.
Yeah, very much so. And I mean, it's still like a cult band.
Yeah. Seems they've become very popular when I lived, doesn't it?
So can we come right up to date?
Yeah.
You're here at this festival in Mid Wales.
Yes.
One of Alan Crow's promotions. Can you tell me a little bit about what over the next 12 months or so? I've got in front of me your 30th anniversary album. Hard to believe it, because I mean you've worn so well.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, and there again, I'm as blind as a bat, but going to gob me now.
Well, it's
actually
his 30
money isn't everything.
That's the title of the album. Yeah, it's 30 years this year that the Nightriders have been going, and we decided to do an album to celebrate that, and some golden classics on there, which features the lineup that we have now, which is a 4-piece band: Neil Gauntlet lead guitar, Phil Middleton drums, Alan Garfield on bass, and myself. We go out as a 60s band. I mean, we just out and out 60s music,
Yeah, no pretension, just straight to it.
Straight to it. We do rearrange a lot of the songs that a lot of the songs as they were, and we do our own arrangements of them and that. But the band is very, very popular now, and at the moment we're on tour with the Dallas Boys and Craig Douglas doing that, and that's been going great. And we've been working with, we've actually become Joe Brown's backing band, and we're also known as the Brothers, mate.
You're one of the brothers, are you?
Brothers, mate, yeah.
The album has tracks on it called Here I Go Again, I'm With You, Atlantis, You Send Me, Mean Woman Blues, Tears on My Pillow, Dream Baby, Boys Cry, Love Potion Number 9, Born Too Late, Just a Little Too Much, and Sharing You. I mean, all classic tracks. Known to our listener, every single one of those tracks. I'm going to play a track off that shortly, but before I do that, is there any little stories or yarns that you'd like to, that you can dare tell us that you'd like to share from that we're not going to get sued about?
I've just seen the band disappear.
Any little stories or yarns about those halcyon days, of the Vincent days, the Beatles days, anything that comes to spring to mind? There was a stage in your mind has been very humorous.
No, really. I'll tell you what does surprise me a lot. I mean, we were talking about fees and things like that, but I can remember playing at the Rainbow Suite in Birmingham with Tom Jones, and the guy came in and says, "How much do I owe you, Tom?" And he says, 18 quid. I mean, can you believe that? I mean, Tom Jones, 18 quid they paid him for Tom Jones and the Squires. I mean, we get 25 now. You know what I mean?
Oh, there we are. That just goes to show. I mean, you could be bigger than Tom Jones. So, on behalf of the Collectors, can I say, Mike Sheridan and the guys, thank you very much indeed. And let's hear a bit of your music.
Thank you very much.
I will say that the promoter was saying to me last night that from your previous gigs here that you're very well received by the 60s, the people who are actually really into 60s music, that you're extremely well liked and usually bring out extremely good turnout when you're on stage. And he was very complimentary about you, so I'd up your fee to 30 quid.
Thank you very much. Well, we always get a good reception in where are we?
We're in Central Wales at the moment.
Central Wales. He said, I just come from Yarmouth and I'm lost. But we've always gone well down here, and we play a lot down here.
Listen, Mike, I'd like you to come back on our programme, perhaps, in the very near future, because there's so many extra tales.
We could do a series.
And come in and talk about, and bring some of your rare... I'll tell you what I'd like to do, would actually you to bring some of your acetates for Chris and myself to share.
You're not after them, are you?
Well, you never know. One might just get left behind. You never...